Hi, I'm Dave Roberts and this is Angling Escapades. So you join me on what is a thoroughly miserable day, and you might ask why am I so mad and why am I here? Well, the reason is quite simply we're in one of those periods at the moment where the river is just up and down. Like once a week it seems like we get a deluge. The river comes up bank high, sometimes over the bank, and we're just getting disrupted. Our matches are being disrupted. Our match this weekend was called off, so I've got bait left over. And this river, I mean, we are in the middle of Storm Bram, I think it's called. Now, any days when we get some sort of high winds and rain, we've got to call it a storm. But this is Storm Bram, apparently. And overnight, it's absolutely tipped it down. This river's going to rise. It's already rising at the top of the river. And it's only going to get worse. But at the moment, the colour isn't too bad. And I feel like we can maybe catch some roach. Maybe a chance of a perch. Outside chance of a barbel as well on the methods we're going to fish. The reality is if I came and fished for barbel, I'd be quite confident because it's like 12-13 degrees, the water's coloured, you know, they should be muching around. But I'm only going to get so many opportunities to fish for roach and, you know, some real pretty fish. So I'm thinking if I can get a couple of hours fishing for roach and perch on flat floats and floats, because I just love fishing a float, and then I've got a feeder set up and I might be able to catch a few as it rises. I might be able to catch a few on float. But that's the reason I'm here today, just taking my opportunities. I say, if the river was level with the banks, I could come and fish for barbel and probably have a good chance of catching. But I'm not going to do that with roach and perch and stuff. So I'm going to see if I can get some bites. And I've not come to the hot spots, if you like. I'm not in the town centre in Hereford, which, as we know, in the winter is just full of roach, chub, perch, dace, bleak, everything. I've come out of town. This is peg 30. You can see on the thing there. This is a real nice high water peg, real nice slack water. Not the place where you'd expect, you know, an epicenter of fish where you catch the great big bags, but if you do catch them up here, they're usually good quality fish. So I'm hoping I can just get a few bites. If I can get some big roach, maybe a perch, on whether it be on float or feeder, I'm happy. I'm going to brave it out. Monty's somewhere, he's not very happy about being here, but we're going to fish and see how we get on. I mean, the most important thing is the river is going to rise later, so conditions are only going to get worse today. So we're going to try and make the most of the good early conditions. So what I'll do is I'll show you what I've got set up and then we'll get started. Right, so let's just show you what we've got set up. Let's just give the old lens a clean there because the rain's, it's going to be a problem today, keeping everything clear. So what I've got set up, obviously it's a match style setup. So I've got my seat box, and you'll see I've got it on a platform and I've set it about a metre above the water. Reason for that is the river's going to rise, it's only going to get worse, and I don't want to find myself stranded in the water. I'm hoping that that'll be enough to see my session through without me having to move my box and my platform. So let me just go down carefully down here. Oh, banks are so slippy, you've got to be careful. And that's a key part of this, is you've got to know your river, you've got to know what the river's going to do. So what we've got, I've got some casters there, some hemp, I've got a big bowl of ground bait with some casters, hemp and some chopped worms in there. Chopped worms are quite an important bait in conditions like this. I just felt like roach and obviously perch love them. Got some red maggots for the hook there, and try and keep them covered up so they don't disappear. And obviously I've got some worms as well, chopped to chop up and even to put on the hook if I need to. The swim itself it's a nice slack behind that tree there, and you can see we're going to fish kind of in this area here. Okay, equipment wise, I've got two poles set up. I've got a 12 gram flat float on this rig here, and that's actually a little bit overgunned at the moment. You know, I could probably get away with 8, 10, but the river's only going to get worse. So I've set up that on a 12 gram flat float, and I've also set up an 8 gram round body float, because at the moment that actually goes through, a round body float goes through there nice and steady, so early on I might be able to catch on that. And then I've just got a simple ground bait feeder with about a 3-foot tail, which I can just put either a bunch of maggots on the hook or worms or whatever. I'm going to feed chopped worms in that, and that's a very effective way of fishing when the river's rising. You know, you'll still get bites even when it gets a bit dirty. So those are the sort of 3 methods, hopefully on the pole early and then feeder later on. You'll also see down on the bank here I've also put in a little stick into the bank there. You can just see that rough stick there. I've set it about a foot above the water level, so I'll know as the water rises, I'll know it's come up a foot when it gets to the base of the stick there, and then I can watch it come up the stick then, and hopefully there we go, here's Monty, look. He's got his coat on, but he looks chipper at the moment, but I think in a couple of hours he might change his mind. Right, so like I say, the river, the colour is not too bad at all at the moment. That's a colour that I feel I can catch roach in. Well, catch everything in really, roach, dace, perch, whatever, but I'd really love to get amongst some of the bigger roach today. So let's see, let's get a bite first and worry about the rest later. So ground bait today is just a simple, like your normal sort of sweet mixes. That's my favourite at the moment. This is one I've changed over to with Vandeninde, Gardon's Record Gold and Bream Big River. Not because I fancy catching any bream, although you never know, but it's a nice sweet mix. I love those sweet flavours, and I've just got that mixed with soil, about 2/3 ground bait to 1/3 soil, and that will give it the weight to get it down. But that mix as well is a nice sticky mix that will hold lots of particles, all that hemp and casters, so hopefully that'll do the trick today. Right, so I'm going to start by introducing 6 balls of ground bait, maybe 7, maybe a lucky 7. But what I want to do, this fishing is very much about being precise and exact. You know, we're going to drop our bait in a very sort of precise area, and hopefully the fish will come and settle straight over it. What you don't want as the river's rising is you don't want your bait spreading all over the place. You want to be able to pin them in one place, which is why often feeder is the better option. But if you can keep it nice and neat, you've got a great chance of catching on floating, you know, in these conditions. So the colour's not what I would class as too bad. The flow is not horrendous at the moment. So I really do fancy getting a bite. Now, when you ball in ground bait, quite often you'll get a response straight away over the top of it. Now up here, that might be hoping for a bit much, but if there's fish here, there's no reason why they wouldn't respond. So we'll put the balls in and we'll go straight over it. The weather's just holding up at the moment. We've had this storm overnight, and the forecast shows me that there's another band moving through, probably about lunchtime between 12 and 1. It's going to get a bit nasty then, so if I can get a good couple of hours at it before it gets nasty again, we might have a chance, and before it starts rising. So like I say, it's just going to be 6 balls, and those are literally dropping over. There's a ledge here, you know, normally on a lower river you'd be sat somewhere down there, you know, dropping into the main flow. 6 of them, like that. I'm not feeding anything else. Literally, that'll be it. And I don't expect to loose feed today. I've got hemp. I've got plenty of hemp. I've got some casters. You know, if I needed to loose feed, I could, but I just don't. It doesn't feel like a loose feed river at all. Sometimes I might just put some hemp in just to encourage fish, a bit of noise and that sort of thing. But I fancy that those balls of ground bait will be enough to get a reaction and hopefully get an early bite or two. Like I say, I've got roach in my mind. I feel like roach is the one, but you just don't know. There's a chance of a big perch as well. So I'm going to go straight on the flat float. Really look, just nail it straight over top of where those balls have landed. I've got size 12 hook. I'm going to put 2 red maggots on. Rain. I'm going to have to put my hood up, I'm afraid. It is a miserable day, but listen, if we can get a bite or two, I'm sure it'll be a lot less miserable. Right. So the reason we choose a flat float is because obviously, as the name suggests, it's flat. The hydrodynamics of it, if that's even a word, means that you need, you know, there's not the same amount of surface area pushing against the flow, which enables you to fish with a generally lighter float in heavier flows. And what you do is I've got them slightly overshotted. It's just pulling round in the current now, and you'll see it's just sitting in lovely there. I say I could get away with probably a smaller float at the moment, but it's only going to get worse. So just sunk under there. There you go, a little leaf or something. Right. It's a very precise way of fishing. Dropping it straight over to where those balls of ground baits have landed. And just let everything settle down in the float. And then just hold it still. The beauty with these floats, this is a Creluso Ray float, which means these are just nice for just inching through. I can hold it still as well. And if I was just only wanting to hold it dead still, I'd be using like a torpedo float or something like that. But these rays allow a sort of a variation on presentation. The float just popped up then real quick. Like I'm not saying it was a lift bite, but it was something different. So I did just strike. And I find that with these flat floats early on in a session, you find yourself striking at all kinds of movements on the float. It's not necessarily the float going down and under what you're looking for. Sometimes it's just a change in direction, a little wobble or something, but I mean that's sitting nicely. And I could probably fish another metre further out, but in my mind I'm always thinking it's going to get worse. So what I don't want to do is find a line where I catch straight away, and then in an hour it washes out and I can't fish it. We'll washed in. That sunk under quite quickly then, but I don't think it was a bite. It's a good sign if your float's going under, if it's a leaf hitting the line or something like that. If your float's going under, it shows you've got it set right, you've got everything's balanced. Oh, that was a bite. There we go. There we go, and a roach. That was a real good one. I'm going to swing that one. It's about 4 ounces, that one. Try and keep out the tree. So there you go. It's taken about 10 minutes. And I'd like to think there'll be some bigger roach out there. But to start with, that'll do nicely. Good bite as well. Shot under. I say at the moment we've still got six good sized balls of ground bait down on the bottom, so I'm not going to feed again yet. I think it will be a case of just feeding an odd big ball rather than feeding a ball every cast or anything like that. Try and keep my ground bait dry. I've deliberately not brought all my ground bait down in one go. I've got it covered up the bank because I know if I've got too much here there's a chance it's going to get wet. Hopefully what I've got in the bucket will last, in this tub here, will last me for the first while of the match. That was a bite as well. Oh, this is good signs. It's taken about 10 minutes, but we've had 2 bites, missed one. Oh, this weather. Cormorant flying past. Plenty of them around this year. Obviously because there's plenty of fish around, but everywhere you go everyone's moaning about cormorants. Doesn't matter what the venue, still water, canals. It seems like they're on on the march again. Oh, that's a lovely presentation now. They're just sitting there, lovely. Can't believe if there's not a fish there. They won't take that. Oh, again, that was a bite. I don't know if that's small fish or not. I usually miss bites like that on this method. I've usually got it. I might just have to have a little play around. Just wonder if the float's too heavy at the moment. I know it won't be later on. I might just have to try that smaller round-bodied float. Yes, that's more like it. That's what it is. It's small fish, I think, when you're getting those bites. So that's another like 3 or 4 ounce fish. It's great to see those. I do feel there'll be some bigger ones there. Oh, that's big, whatever that is. Or bigger. Need the net for this. Oh, it's a big old perch, look at that. Thought we might see one of them today. Well, that's a beauty, that is. It's over £1, that is. Beautiful stripey. Again, we've got loads of those in the river this year as well. You know, and they're a serious target, whether you're in a match or whether you're pleasure fishing. You know, there's been plenty of fish over £3 caught this year, and I've caught in matches quite a few over the £2 mark. But they're absolutely stunning. He's not going to hold his fin up for me because, well, they don't, do they? But I'll pop him in the net. Well, that's a nice reassuring fish. Because the thing is, when you're talking about colour and the colour of the water, you know, whether it's too colour to catch fish. I mean, you know, perch are a visual feeder, really. Although you do catch them in coloured water, it's not. You know, generally they need to see the bait. So the fact we've caught one like that tells me the colour's still right for us to catch both perch and roach. I'd absolutely love some big roach. Hopefully that's just a sign. I've probably put another, since our initial 6 balls, I've probably put another 5 balls in now. You know, not big balls, just like golf balls. And hopefully it means the fish are starting to find that. we go. That's a roach. Yeah, that's what we want. Nice, decent sized roach. Put the net under that one. That's more like it. Quality roach, fish of about 10-12 ounces, I'd say. And not long after we had that perch, so I feel like we're getting a bit of momentum now. The river is full of those this year. It's absolutely. Oh, put that one back quickly, shall I? That one didn't go in the net. But yeah, there's some serious roach in the venue, in the river. And it's usually, I'll be honest, it's my favourite time. When we go through these spells, you know, some years they're not so prolific, but the years when there's roach in the river are my absolute favourite. I've heard of so many 2 pound roach, well not so many, but I've heard of lots of 2 pound roach being caught this year. I've caught 2 myself in matches, you know, proper, just a 2 pound roach is just special where whatever venue you're on. A 2 pound roach is a special fish. And £2.5, there was one in a match caught. £2.1 I've had one on bang on £2 and one £2.1. And you know with a roach, when you see it, you just know a 2 pounder when it's in your hand and you can't get your hand around it. Special fish. Don't know whether we'll see any today, but I certainly feel like there's a good chance of an odd big one. I mean, that one was a nice stamp fish, but I reckon we can get some. There should be some bigger ones. Again, fishing a very static bait at the moment. I do need to try the other float just for peace of mind, just to know I'm not missing a trick. But if it keeps going under with a big fish on the end, or I bumped one away, that was a snag then. If it keeps going under with a big fish on the end, you don't want to change it. Rain's just eased for a little while now. Don't mind a bit of wind now, just if as long as the rain holds off, because it was getting pretty miserable and I can't keep the camera clear either. Every now and again there's a big boil comes up in the water, just boils up and your float does weird silly things, but I still feel like our bait's down on the bottom. It should still be able to get a bite. Cool, another big fish that. A decent fish anyway. Could be a perch again. Yeah, another big perch. Look at that. Might be a bit bigger than the last one, that. Yeah, that's £1.5, that one. So I can hold him up properly, because they're very good at giving you a little cut in your hand or a little spike. Probably £1.5, I'd say. Absolute beauty. Right. So I feel like we're in the game now. We're getting bites. The river's not showing signs of rising dramatically at the moment. Still keep looking at my stick and it's not moved. So it really is a case of making hay while the sun is not shining. How you doing, Monty? You alright, boysy? But you know, I mean, river we got to this river is 2.2 on the gauge this morning. 2.2 meters. That's supposedly 2.2 meters above summer level. It's a big old river still. But this is the beauty of this river, is that you can get bites when it colours up and it comes up. A lot of venues, you know, there's places you go to like the Severn can be very, very moody on just a bit of colour. But here, as long as they can get at the bait and there's not too much cold water, we've got a chance. Another small roach, I think. Regular bites now, though. He wanted that. Needed a scourge for that one. Oh, another decent fish. That could be a roach, that could. Don't know, it's a big enough if it is. Do you know what I think it is? I think it's a big roach. Oh. Right, just take a section off there so I can get a real good angle to land it. That is a big fish, that is. Oh, it's not, it's actually a skimmer bream. Well, there you go, they're a bit of a rarity. We don't catch lots on the river, but there has been a few been showing recently. I thought that was a roach then. I thought it was a great big roach. I'm not disappointed. Anytime you get a bream on this river, it's special because there's not many. Section on. Well, how about that? That's a proper big fat skimmer, that is. And probably, given conditions, maybe unsurprising today. The sort of species that will feed in coloured water. Another nice fish. See, everything's quality. Well, not everything. We've had some small roach, but everything you seem to be catching seems to be good quality. 2 decent perch, a skimmer, 1 decentish roach. And I'm still expecting more roach. I really am. Oh, put me down for a minute. The rain stopped. Won't be long before it's back, I'm sure. We might get another hour before it gets too messy. Let's see what we can catch on the flat float, and then we can have a look on feeder. Clearly the weather's not improving, but hopefully there'll still be some bites to keep us occupied. Yeah, if anything, it's just some days it's just about just reassuring yourself that you're doing the right thing, and on a day like today, keeping your bait still's got to be right. we go. What we got this time? Another big perch, I reckon. Decent fish, whatever it is. Great fun on this tack. I've got like a grey hydro elastic with this 12 gram flat float. I'd say this is a big perch, but I'd say it's bigger than the biggest of the lot we've had so far, the way it's digging in. Oh, that is a big one. That's going to be £2, that one. Oh, what a fish. What a fish. That is a fat perch. Let's see if I can hold him up without dropping him. That's £2, that is. An absolute stunning perch. There is something about catching perch like this on, especially on a pole and with elastic. I mean, don't get me wrong, a fish like that is great on any tackle, isn't it? But just the way that, you know, you got to play them on elastic, and I mean, that's beautiful. And that's, you know, that's not uncommon at the moment. We've caught so many of these this year. Obviously they thrive on all the bleak and the fry and the minnows, and just the abundance of small fish in the river. Well, it's not what I'd class as a perchy day, really. It's not. Usually they like a bit of clearer water, but right now they seem to be the dominant species. And to be honest, what I've caught already has proved to me it was worth coming out. You know, just to catch a fish like that, even if I get soaking wet and get fed up and go home in an hour, it's been worth it, because the reality is I'm not going to catch those fish tomorrow when it's bank high. So get in, take your opportunity. There we go. Another big perch, I think. Snagged on something. Oh God, it's not what you want, is it? It's probably just snagged up into the bank there. Because obviously you're coming onto the... Oh, it came off. That's a shame. Yeah, I think as you're pulling it up onto into the bank, and it's obviously the fish has managed to dig in. Perch are quite good at finding snags. You know, they're not a species we associate with it really generally, but they do. If they see a snag, they're straight in there. Yeah, well, it's a bite anyway. Right, well, so the flat float was, I mean, the river is rising now and it's going to come quite quickly now, but it's probably only risen less than a foot so far. But that flat float, I went over half an hour without a bite on that, and you just feel like it just looks a bit messy. So all I'm going to do is flick this feeder out there, see if we can get a few more bites before we go home. Not a massive feeder, just a little cage feeder. Just going to feed exactly the same mix. 3 maggots on a size 12. The wind's really getting out, so it's getting a bit messy, but I don't mind as long as that rain stays away for a while. And all I'm going to do is just drop it over the same line, just perhaps a little bit further out in the flow, just to allow time for it to sink properly. It's quite direct on top of it, so no need for too much line out. Well, what I will do, I'll feed the same mix I'm fishing, or what I've been feeding, and I'll still keep throwing a ball in as well, you know, keep the same sort of continuity. But I will also start, if I'm not getting bites, I'll start chopping some worms up and feeding more worms through the feeder, possibly fishing a bigger feeder as well. And because I just find it, as it colours up, that worm, just that smell and flavour of that chopped worm can be really essential to drag fish in and to home them in on your bait. It'd be just nice if we get a few bites on this just to finish off. And you've always got a chance with this method of catching some of the bigger fish, you know, and bigger roach. And I can't fault the quality of fish we've had on the flat float, but it's certainly been. If there's one disappointment, it would be the fact I haven't had any big roach yet. So maybe this might be a way of catching an odd one. Oh. That was a bite. I missed that one. Perhaps a little bit quick on that then. But again, you know, it shows us a bite. There's bites to be had, even though I say the river's colouring up now quite badly. But oh, there we go, there's a bite. Not a big fish. Oh, there you go, it's actually a dace. What do you know? There's me hoping for a big roach, and we've ended up with a dace. But do you know what? In conditions like this, just getting bites is a bonus. You can see the sticks now, the base of it's underwater, so that's a foot the river's come up, and that's really in the last hour and a half, so it's really picking up pace now. Just getting an odd bite on the feeder. It's a dirty old river now, which is what we expected, but still, we're still getting an odd indication and bite, so I'm going to keep persevering for a while. See if we can't find a couple more fish. There you go, folks. Our biggest roach of the day. Let's put roach of about £1. Drop that one back. Stunning fish. And considering now that the river is rising fast, it's probably up 2 feet now, and we're still getting bites of beautiful fish like that. Whatever it is. It's going for the inside. Staring at there. Feel it going for the grass on the inside. I don't think it's a barb. It's grass again. Come out of there. Oh, it's a proper bream. Well, you do not get many of those in the line. We had a skimmer earlier. Proper bream. And do you know the weird thing is the cast before that I thought I had a line, like a proper traditional liner, not thinking for 1 minute it would be a bream. Oh dear. Sack the juggler. Oh dear. Well, as I turn over the books, what a sort of a calamitous way to end the video, but a brilliant way as well. What a brilliant day's fishing. Yeah, just the river's like now probably 2.5 foot higher than it was earlier. It's flying up, it's dirty, but we're getting bites right to the end, and it just goes to show that if you're prepared to come out in crappy conditions and pick the right swim with a bit of slack, you can catch fish all day long. And you know, whether I'd catch these fish tomorrow, it's going to be like bank high. I'd probably have to be fishing for about a barbel then, but today it's worked. What a great day. Hope you've enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time.